I don't care about royals at all, but this is a beautiful piece of filmmaking. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and Spencer is a brand new biopic about one of the most famous and beloved people in modern history, Diana, Princess of Wales, whose maiden name has been Spencer. Diana became an international icon, and when she tragically died in a car crash in 1997, many people around the world were shocked and mourned her death. I was only 11 years old when this happened, and though I never cared at all about royal families in my life, I still remember the impact that it had and how it was a topic of discussion in my family as well. Now, I still don't care for royalty at all, and I think it's an historical leftover that's pretty stupid, but I was also immediately drawn to this world in this movie's first act. There's just something so fascinating about it. You kind of wonder what it must be like to be part of this, all the luxury, the giant estates, people preparing your food and so on. But at the same time, you are also rather happy that you are not part of this, because it seems to be an absolute nightmare. And as such, director Pablo Larraín is depicting it in his newest film, a beautiful, suffocating nightmare. The Chilean filmmaker is most known for another biopic of another most famous woman, 2016's Jackie, about the First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. A very untypical biopic and one that I thoroughly enjoyed. And thankfully, Spencer is definitely also no ordinary retelling of Diana's tumultuous life story, and I like this one even more. Actually, I really loved it. It's a beautiful piece of art. An intense, gripping, heartfelt portrayal brought to life with an impeccable and unique style. It was written by Stephen Knight and it stars Kristen Stewart, who has never been better, and she will for sure receive her first Oscar nomination for this. From the very first images and sounds, I was absolutely hooked. The cinematography is just gorgeous and the atmosphere is so dense. It was done by Claire Maton, who also photographed the great French film Portrait of a Lady on Fire. The images of Spencer have a very soft quality to them, and the film is able to give you a very warm and at the same time very cold feeling, which fits the world of the movie perfectly. It's also kind of a running joke in the film that it's constantly too cold, and Diana laments that no one ever turns up the heating in the big estate the story is unfolding in. Her youngest son Harry also mentions more than once that he is cold. And it takes no genius to understand that this coldness is of course very much representing the interpersonal coldness. This stiff and formal world that doesn't allow neither for much warmth nor for fun and freedom. Spencer focuses on a very specific time and event, and it sets a clear framing for its story. It depicts the Christmas festivities of the royal family at the Queen Sandringham estate. The movie begins with Diana driving to it, arriving far too late, and it ends with her leaving again after a few days. This small window of time shows us a woman at a turning point in her life, psychologically shattered from the experience in the royal family and the constant exposure by the exploitative media. The focus on this Christmas event gives us a fantastic insight into a world that's completely determined by schedule and protocol. Every little thing is planned out in advance, and Diana has no say in it. Each outfit is already set and prepared for. It is a world of total control, and it begins with getting your weight measured on your arrival. Apparently just a fun tradition, because at the end of the festivities you should have gained at least 3 pounds from all the wonderful food. But for Diana, it's just another mean of measuring and controlling every fiber of her being. It is also made clear throughout the film that apparently everyone is hearing and knowing everything. Nothing will remain hidden, not from the family, not from the employees, and not from the media. At one point Diana is saying that the big camera lenses are more like microscopes, and she's like an insect under it whose limbs are getting torn off. Spencer is certainly not a very subtle film. The many symbols and the strong imagery, everything is very much out in the open. Like a story told about a wild horse that should be tamed, or the pearl necklace that Diana has to wear that very much appears like shackles to her. But movies or art in general don't need to be subtle to be powerful. I found these images and the whole style of the movie to be super strong, and it was one of this year's most absorbing cinematic experiences. It should also be noted that Spencer doesn't claim to be some form of docudrama. In the very beginning it even proclaims itself as being a fable from a true tragedy, and it should be received as such. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it doesn't depict actual reality, and therefore it was absolutely fine that her husband Charles, played by Jack Farthing, or Queen Elizabeth II, played by Stella Gonet, are portrayed as these completely cold, intimidating figures, with pretty much no warm and human qualities to them. The other royals are mere background anyway, and the movie does a terrific job of showing Diana's isolation. She herself is portrayed as a very demanding and always super intense woman who can be very harsh with her servants. The entire film is intense and vamped up. Almost all of Diana's dialogue is presented in a very tense way, but all of this adds to the film's texture, to this dense and nightmarish pressure that seems to define each and every moment. You can really feel the protagonist getting suffocated by all of it. It's melodramatic and it even plays a little bit like a horror movie at times. And not just by adding some ghost story elements in the form of a former royal who got decapitated by a king. Spencer is an intense psychological drama, and in a way it reminded me of Todd Phillips' version of The Joker. The tale of this soul that's getting crushed by society and a lack of love. Of course, Diana doesn't turn into a mad psycho killer, but it's a very tragic and demanding portrayal. There are a few moments that are downright nerve-wracking, and aside the great cinematography and a phenomenal performance by Kristen Stewart, I also can't praise Jonny Greenwood enough, who contributed a haunting score. I can't wait to listen to it again when it gets released. But Spencer wouldn't be as heartfelt and cathartic if it weren't for the small, brighter moments, in which Diana is showing her playful, freedom-loving personality. There's an amazing scene in which she is playing with her two sons William and Harry in the middle of the night that's full of motherly love. And then there's this heartbreaking moment at the end with her and Sally Hawkins' character Maggie. The end in general, but not only, is so cathartic and wonderful. There are these beautiful moments that let Diana escape the shackles for a few seconds. When she's running to an old scarecrow, when she's dancing in the hallway, or when she's tearing open the sewed-up curtains to figuratively breathe again. Spencer creates this fascinating, emotional and at times surreal portrayal of a simultaneously broken and super strong soul, and I really loved it. And Kristen Stewart is an absolute powerhouse. And despite all the fantastic filmmaking around her, in the end it's her who's absolutely carrying the movie on her shoulders. So in German I'd say, Spencer ist ein wunderschönes, tragisches und beinahe horrorhaftes Porträt von Prinzessin Diana, das in seiner fokussierten Fiktion etwas Wahrhaftiges erschafft und das mit Kristen Stewart in der Hauptrolle wirklich hypnotisierend ist. I give Spencer 9 out of 10. It's more like 8.7, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Spencer. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd, and also on Patreon simply at The Jimmy Cage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.